he was very emotional, obviously, had already sent out tweets saying, I'm very emotional, this is going to be really hard, and so on.
Of course, because, the real victim in all of this is Owen Jones.
Yeah, and he then went on the programme and it was very strange. The presenter and the other guest, Julia Hartley-Brewer, a conservative woman of great distinction and likability, was on, and he felt that they weren't paying enough attention to the homophobic nature of the Orlando massacre, and eventually stormed out.
He did this thing as well, didn't he? He said, speaking as a gay man, you don't understand because you're not gay. It's this weird identitarianism that we touched on earlier in the conversation, as though you're incapable of understanding the facts of a case or of having human empathy and compassion and realizing the seriousness and the tragedy of a situation if you're not personally part of a group that it affected, which is the most sort of profoundly anti-intellectual and ridiculous claim, but a claim that seems to be accepted as fact by most of the media these days.
It's very popular now. I'm closer to it because... And it was a very interesting development, because he was complaining that the media didn't have enough LGBT people coming on talking about Orlando, which may have been true in the case of the UK, but I don't think people were trying to just sort of get quotas or anything. But the thing that struck me as interesting was his clear upset at something which was quite hard to put your finger on. I mean, why storm out? It's my view that he is probably on that learning curve I talked about earlier. He has spent his entire life covering for radical Islam as a journalist, insisting that really only Islamophobia is the problem. He's constantly derided anyone who's expressed any concern about this matter. So I think he's one of those people who he had a snapping moment, in my view, of reality catching up with him and his wrong interpretation of part of what's going on in the world at the moment. I think that's why he left. But, there's an interesting development from this, which is that after I sent out that tweet, so this is terribly self-referential, but bear with me for a second.
That's right. This is the Milo show. You can talk about yourself for as long as you like.
Maybe we're anything self-referential about you.
No, but you're not speaking to a host with any qualms about this, and no right whatsoever to tell you off for being self-referential. I have no problem with it. Go ahead.
So anyway, the next day, I was asked to go on Channel 4 News from Soho in London to talk about the vigil that was going on there and to talk about Orlando and so on. It turned out that one of the other guests was Owen Jones. I said, it's fine, go ahead. And then I got a call saying, actually, sorry, we can't have you on because Owen Jones won't appear alongside you. And so I said, well, this is absolutely typical that somebody, it's what I said earlier, it's only ever really about politics with these people. That's all they're after in this.
Yeah.
And if they can use sexuality, they will. But here is a person who on Sunday complained there weren't enough LGBT voices. I happen to be gay, and I was asked on the programme the next day, and he got me cancelled.
Yeah.
Because I'm the wrong type of gay. I'm not the far left Islamophobia is the main problem person. I'm somebody who for years has said there is a real problem here and people need to wake up to it. And,